New teachers hear the same classroom management tricks all of the time. Stand by the door, proximity, make sure that you do the threat to call home. What actually works? It's one thing for your college professor, if that, gives you any advice. But the truth is, the people who really know which strategies work are the teachers who have tried each one. And so that's what I've done. I'm here to tell you guys the classroom management strategies that I have tried and the ones that I believe actually work. Now, before we get into the strategies, I want to remind you guys that I started a Stand store. There you can check out some of my resources, one of them being my current event assignment. This is the assignment that is really like the go-to if you want students to learn about world events, which there is a lot happening right now, but you want to also incorporate a lot of the literacy aspects, looking for bias, citing evidence, making text to world connections. That is the resource for you. I'm also doing one-on-one coaching specifically for classroom management. So if there are some tips and tricks that I've even mentioned in this video and you're interested or you've tried them and they're not working and you just want to get my 2 cents, you can book that in the Stand store as well. And then some other resources. I love doing group work. I love having students assess themselves. I have a ton of resources in my toolkit for you to purchase, and hopefully you find them helpful in your classroom. And let's get into it. I've tried the 7 most popular classroom management strategies, and here are the ones that I think work. Strategy number 1, greeting students at the door. This is the one that is highly popularized, and this is the strategy that I think is very effective. Greeting your students at the door automatically sets the tone. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, start your do now, there's a do now on the board, or good morning, good afternoon, you don't need your laptops today. Good morning, good afternoon, take out your notebook and answer the question on the board. The immediate introduction, greeting your students, but then also setting expectations is a strategy that I highly recommend. Now, I know this is not ideal, especially if you've been a traveling teacher, which means that your classroom is different almost every other period. But if you have the benefit and the luxury of being in the same classroom every single period, and you can greet your students at the door and set expectations, that is one of the best things that you can do. Oftentimes there's even conflict that's happening in the hallway. So if you can address something and cut it before it even travels into your room and causes more chaos or more disruption, that is also a win. So I highly recommend greeting your students at the door and setting expectations immediately. Strategy number 2, countdowns / attention getters. Now, I am iffy on one of these. Countdowns, I have not found countdowns beneficial. The 5, 4, 3, if that is something that you've already established in your classroom, then that's something that you find works, cool. But I personally have never really found the benefit of counting down. Oftentimes, students will either miss the countdown, they will keep talking after the countdown, but I don't know, there's just something about a countdown that just isn't very effective. I don't know if maybe this is a strategy that parents use at home, and then by the time students get to school, they're like, yeah, I heard that already. But I do find that the most effective attention getters are things that are different, things that kind of snap them out of their regular routine. So I personally like attention signals, whether it's you putting your hand over your mouth and then also raising your hand. So I've seen teachers do things like this to get everyone's attention, and little by little, everyone's like, shh, 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 shh. My 2 personal favorites, you've probably seen me do these already, is ringing a bell 3 times or clapping 3 times. When my students hear the bell, it just kind of automatically puts their attention on me. But when I clap 3 times, they are required to clap back. I really do decide which one I think is effective in the moment. If I'm not near my bell, I'll clap 3 times. But if I feel like they just need to stop what they're doing and give me all of their attention and not continue writing or conversing, I'll do the clapping because it requires them to also stop what they're doing and clap 3 times. So it's really up to you what you like, but you have to find a signal or a strategy that you believe works best for you and your classroom, and then just stick to it. I find that the bell works really well for older students, and then the clapping, my 6th and my 7th graders, I find most effective. It seems a little childish to have like my 9th graders clap 3 times. So I have found that the bell is the better one, and you have to tell them what you want. You can't just ring a bell or clap 3 times and expect students to give you their attention. This is something that you have to establish with them. Hey guys, we're going to be trying something new. I really don't want to yell over you. I want to be able to get your attention easily. So when you hear me clap 3 times, I want you guys to clap back. Hey, let's actually practice it. And I'll have them practice. I'll have them turn and talk about what they're gonna do over the weekend or their favorite food, something really silly. And then I'll clap 3 times and they'll clap back so that it becomes a routine or a signal. And you can do the same thing with the bell. Let them know, hey, when I ring this bell, eyes and ears or attention on me. Strategy number 3. Proximity. This is the strategy that teachers will recommend and tell you if there is a student that is misbehaving, if there's a student that is disruptive, or maybe just doing something that you don't want them to do, but you don't want to necessarily stop the lesson. Maybe you're in the middle of a mini lesson and you're talking. Then proximity is a good way to kind of get the student to either stop or to limit their behavior. But I find that proximity doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to get close and also tap on the desk. Or sometimes you have to get close and say, enough, no more. I have found that proximity doesn't always work depending on the student. Some students might just be like, okay, you're close to me or they might be so unaware of their behavior and they might not even know that they're causing a disruption. So proximity is good for the student who is aware of their behavior, but it doesn't work if the student has no idea that they're doing the wrong thing or has no idea that they're participating in behavior that you don't want them to. So I find that proximity works coupled with something else. Get close, tap on the desk. Get close and say, enough, put that down, no more. Whatever it is, you have to also oftentimes give a verbal expectation in order for the student to know, oh, I'm being disrupted. Like sometimes kids just don't know. And so I'm not against this one. Is it my go-to strategy? Not really. Still find that I have to give a verbal redirection, even if I've gotten close with proximity. Strategy number 4, a silent wait. Oh my goodness. This one is recommended all of the time. Just wait, just wait, just wait. Again, it works depending on the class. If your students are really chatty, it has happened to me where I'm in the middle of teaching and all you have to do is stop talking for like a millisecond. And then they just start with their own little conversations. And I've noticed that in moments like that, I can just be like, okay. And just watch and wait for them to stop talking. And that works. But I have not necessarily always found that strategy to be effective. It only works if you as the teacher are in the middle of saying something and there's a pause or a break and then they just start chatting it up again. The silent wait can work. But again, this isn't my most effective strategy. Especially if students are already in a conversation or in a lesson, then you need an actual attention getter. But if you are in the middle of teaching and they just start talking, the silent wait, I think, is like a 50-50 chance of it working, depending on your class. I've had classes where they're like, okay, then you'll wait until my conversation is done. It really does depend on the student and the class as a whole. So does the silent wait work? Sometimes. Again, is it my go-to strategy? No. I find that sometimes I do the silent wait if I'm frustrated and if I don't want to say anything. Just like, Just gonna, okay, okay. And that's really where I'll do this silent wait out of frustration, not necessarily as like my whip it out first strategy. So try it, see, but I find that this again is like hot and cold. It doesn't always work depending on your class and depending on what is happening in the classroom. This is not the strategy that you want to use when your students are like engaging in group conversation. Like, that's silly. They don't know that you're waiting for them. This is more the strategy when you're in the middle of teaching and then students are just like not really listening or paying attention. It works, but not all the time. It's not my go-to. Really, what I end up doing is I stop and I ring my bell. I stop and I do my 3 claps because I need something that's gonna get them out. But there's just certain things that like you don't have to do now. I like the attention getters that I mentioned previously. I find them effective and I think that they work. But the silent wait, if it's something that you want to try out, you can. But I will say, if you're kind of like a passive teacher and you're someone that doesn't really have like a strong personality and you're soft-spoken and then you do the silent wait, I don't know. I don't know if that's the strategy that's actually going to work for you. So not the one that I would throw out as a recommendation. It's not in my top 3, that's for sure. Strategy number 5, positive narration. I actually spoke about this in a previous video where we are giving like verbal praises to students who are doing the right thing. So if you saw that video, you already know how I feel about this one. And again, this is one where I think can work depending on the student, but I don't always find it effective. John, great job. Thank you for answering the do now. Melissa, thank you for also already having your do now answered. A kid who doesn't want to do work doesn't care that John and Melissa are doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it reinforces the positive behavior for the students who are doing the right thing. But if the goal is for someone who's not doing the right thing to start doing the right thing, apathy is a real thing. And I just feel like that strategy doesn't work for classroom management if you want everyone to do the right thing. I think it's helpful to let the students who are always doing the right thing know, I see you. You know what? There's 5 people who are not doing the right thing, but I see you. I see you, John. I see you, Melissa. Thank you. I do think that that is when it is helpful to let those students know that their hard work, to let them know that their behavior doesn't go in vain, you know. But if the strategy is being used to redirect someone who's not doing the right thing, I don't find it very effective. I think that child needs to be told, hey, answer your do now. Hey, snap out of it. Get off of YouTube. Answer your do now. I think being direct is the best classroom management strategy. Okay, strategy number 6. This is one of my favorites. Seat changes. Students know in my classroom I can change seats whenever I want to. Okay, no one's seat is permanent. That is not your seat. I can change seats whenever I want. And I established this in the beginning of the year. These are your seats, but if I find that these seats are not working, I will change them up. I will change them tomorrow. I will change them next week. I will change them in April. For one of my classes, when we come back from spring break, I already gave them a heads up. This isn't working anymore. Changing seats. No, it is what it is. We're changing seats. I will change seats as many times as it takes in order to get the classroom environment that I want. And I communicate that to them even when I change the seats. I'm gonna try this out, and if I need to change it again, I'll change it again. The only time I'll say, if you are sitting next to someone and there is a real conflict that I am not aware of, you need to tell me. But if you're just not wanting to sit there because your friends aren't there, because you don't feel like talking to that person when we do discussion, that's not a valid reason. I need an actual awareness that there is a conflict that I am not aware of. If that's not the case, you're sitting there, Okay, so I find this very effective because it allows students to take a little bit of ownership for their behavior. Yeah, you're changing seats, so where's the ownership? But I let them know. And if it still doesn't change, then I'm going to make a phone call home. So oftentimes the seat change is the way for me to let them know, hey, I'm trying to make you a little bit responsible. I'm not going to contact your parent right now, but even with this seat change, if I don't see a difference in your behavior, I'm calling home. So I like to use this as like the consequence ladder, like the last step before I have to call home about behavior, especially when it's things like being chatty, right? I don't need to call and be like, your kid's talking too much. But if it's becoming a disruption in the classroom, of course, I will call for that. But seat changes usually work. They're usually extremely effective. And that's it in strategies that I have tried out in my classroom. Some are yay, some are nay, but the truth is, all it comes down to is consistency. Every single strategy that you are trying to implement in the classroom, you have to be consistent. So many teachers have said, yes, I've tried that and it doesn't work. Yes, I've tried this and it doesn't work. And my question is always, but how long did you try it for? Did you try it for over a week? Because I'm telling you right now, trying it for 2-3 days doesn't work. You have to at least try a strategy for 2 solid weeks and have students repeat the behavior or start over or do something different whenever they're not giving you the expectations that you want. When I clap 3 times and my students don't do it back, I don't just move on. I'll make a comment, what was that? That was terrible. And then I'll clap 3 times again. Or when it works out right away, I'm like, ooh, that was good. You have to make sure that you're practicing whatever strategies you want your students to do in the classroom. And of course, it always starts with you as the teacher. Be consistent, and then your students will follow through and hopefully be consistent as well. So that's it, you guys. Those are the 7 strategies that I have tried. Let me know, what are some strategies that I missed, okay? What are some things that you have found helpful in your classroom, or what are some that just are not working? You've tried and you've tried. Maybe there's some that I said that I thought were great and you're like, no, girl, it doesn't work. Let me know in the comments below. Always eager to hear from you guys. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all in the next one.